They say abide by, certain community guidelines. Sometimes you don't know what those guidelines is. But anyway, it's your boy, your man's is Al Achad. How are you? Hopefully this time we can also get a connection on Instagram. Yep, I'm live on Instagram right now as well. So thank y'all for joining in. Instagram right here, YouTube right here. You know what I mean? So again, holography is out now, dealing with everything from unified theorems, metaphysics, understanding the semiotics or meanings behind things, all different types of topics here in this book here, man. It's like a compendium of all things dealing with, science, education, true education, all that in one book. So, I just want to also come here to speak on what I also do, on top of being a writer or author of books, is also being a consultant or counselor, also an astrologer. So that all that kind of goes in together with itself. It all goes together. It's all about being able to have one-on-one sessions with people who want to, you don't want to sit here and be in a psychiatrist's office or be dealing with psychotherapists and not getting any progress because, these type of professionals were never there to really kind of get you to heal. Really, it's really about just just talking out your problems. You know what I mean? Like no real goal or plan in mind to really help you to develop and to overcome whatever ailment or issue that is causing you a problem throughout your life. So dealing with holographic or holography type of consulting that I do is all about making sure that you are the victor in the situation of things that are causing you an issue and have been causing you an issue throughout your life. We dig deep. We do the depthical diggings. Depthical diggings. You know what I'm saying? Depthical diggings. That's what we do. You know what I mean? For those of you that are just coming in, I'm on Instagram right now, and I'm also on this YouTube live thing, doing both of them. So I know people who have not have success with, speaking to these, psychiatric people. And it's a lot of us that have traumas out here. We have a lot of issues we need to unpack. A lot of heartbreaks, abuses, you know what I mean? Losses, neglect, abandonment, rejections, things that we never really processed, never really got over. You know what I mean? And they're lingering in the subliminal parts of our mind, you know what I'm saying? And they are, you know, surreptitiously, you know what I'm saying, controlling what you do. So you think you're doing something on your own volition when it's really just some sort of coping mechanism that you use to deal with everyday life. You know what I'm saying? And what real psychiatric or psychotherapeutical system or activity really helps you see that. Now, I'm not saying that the stuff that they do in the psychiatric world is complete bull. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that because there's people in that space that don't go by the conventional psychiatric or psychological protocol and they go outside of those parameters, outside of those boxes, those walls to deal with something that's more innovative or something that's, unorthodox, shall I say. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I do. I want to be the alternative to people that will want to go that route psychiatrically or psychotherapeutically. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of syllables with that one. And being able to help people unpack these issues, you know what I'm saying, and deal with someone who also understands metaphysics, astrology, dealing with the holography, you know what I'm saying, occult metaphysics, putting all that together as one so that when we do our sessions together, we're not just dealing with one type of understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because how many psychiatrists deal with anything beyond the physical? It's always something physical. It's always something chemically imbalancing. They always try to say that your problem deals with, you know, some sort of chemicals in your brain not working correctly. And I'm like, we don't even have to deal with that level. We can go beyond that. You know what I'm saying? The thing with holography is about it's a science about reading your life, reading things that you can readily observe, like being able to read. So a lot of people don't know how to read. Their reading is, you know what I'm saying, I don't have the reading skills to actually assess what's really going on with them or what their issue is. You know what I'm saying? So as somebody like me that's, have this degree in counseling and consultation, you know what I'm saying, I get to understand and really you know, dig depthly into what's really causing you the problems. You know what I'm saying? We talking about addictions. We're talking about coping mechanisms. We're talking about abuses. Again, all this stuff that you don't really deal with, and you just kind of suppress in the subliminal parts of the background of your mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to avoid using subconscious because I'm not really trying to get into the Carl Jung thing. But when I say background or subliminal, I'm talking about for those of you that understand Jungian psychology, the subconscious and the unconscious and all that stuff. So these are things that are happening without you having to consciously be aware of the fact that they're happening. And that's a problem because, again, for example, I have made a post on my page talking about how people don't like to acknowledge their own faults and flaws. And they like to project them onto the next person, or they look for, subliminally, they look for people to project these issues onto. You know what I'm saying? And I've been a victim of that for far too long. You know what I'm saying? Not a victim where it's like, oh, you're hurting me and I can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Not on that level, but people often come to be and project onto me. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you have like a large following or some sort of large subscriber base, and people always, because of how much reach you have, they like to you know look for those type of people to project onto. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if I'm coming around here acting like or not even, it's not even, doesn't have to be an act. If I'm presenting myself in a like a fatherly way or like a authoritative way, like, you may have problems with authority. You may have problems with your father. You know what I'm saying? So it's only so much time that's going to happen where you're going to start projecting your father issues or your authority issues onto somebody like me or anybody that's, you know, coming with that authority or that fatherly education or, what I'm saying, guidance or whatever. You know what I mean? That it's projection. Like, you don't want to deal with your issues, so you're looking for people to project them onto, and that's the only way you deal with them. You have to deal with them as if they are someone else's issue and not yours, because it's like removing yourself from the issue. You know what I'm saying? So if you have problems, accepting your flaws, like, for example, you have a flaw where you're too prideful, or you're a person where you think that everybody's supposed to listen to you, and then you subliminally go out and look for those people, then be like, oh, you're that, and it's like, no, it's really you. You're projecting on the people. You know what I'm saying? As a way to avoid dealing with your own problem. This is a very common issue. It's very, very prevalent out here. I see it too much. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I got to come here and talk to y'all about this stuff so that you can avoid the same pitfalls or whatever. There's people out here, like, for example, they've been traumatized from intimate relationships, got cheated on, you know what I'm saying, got beat on, was in an impoverished situation with somebody, and they never really got over that. You know what I'm saying? They just buried it. They just looked for things to suppress it or to ignore dealing with the issue. Like, yeah, if your heart was broken or you was in a situation where, you was cheated on or you was hurt by this intimate partner, I mean, that's not something that you just go and brush away or uh, do away with within, whatever amount of time. In fact, it can be decades before you even revisit those issues and really try to get over them or overcome them. You know what I'm saying? So now, if you're looking at the opposite sex, as they're all enemies now to you. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. You know? It's overgeneralizing. That's a coping mechanism that you're doing when you do stuff like that. So that's a coping mechanism. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes you out of dealing with whatever issue that, both of you and this particular person, whatever issues y'all was dealing with, and now, you're putting it all on that person, and now there's a whole bunch of people in this population that looks just like that person. So now instead of dealing with you and the person's issue, you're projecting it onto everybody else. So for a woman, you're projecting it on every man. If you're a man, you're projecting it onto every woman you come across or see. So that's where you get the whole thing, bitches ain't shit, niggas ain't shit, that type of talk. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you're a person that's dealing with some traumatic issues. This is how you cope. Perhaps a one-to-one session where we get, depthical in that situation so that you can see where you went wrong. Because just because, you felt that the other person in that relationship was doing you wrong, that doesn't excuse you for whatever wrongs you was doing. Because let's say the person was being the aggressor, you was the one tolerating that aggression for 2 3 years straight. You could have been got out of that situation, but you chose to stay longer and longer and longer. So now you're also a part of the problem for allowing it to fester on. But sometimes that's not even the case either. It's y'all both being problematic to each other. You know what I'm saying? They call it trauma bonding. This is a new hot flashy term that they got for that, like trauma bonding. Like you're being with people, you're just hooking up with people so that y'all can, you know, continue the traumatic behaviors onto each other. You know what I'm saying? So every abuser is looking for someone who likes being abused. Because some people don't like to admit to the fact that they like being abused that way. They're used to it. They're used to the fact that they're being abused. You know what I mean? So it's not even just that they don't like it. It's the fact that they're used to it. So when they get into a situation or a relationship with someone who's not that abusive, they're like the first person, like they keep trying to expect it and anticipate it, and it comes through in their behaviors. You know what I'm saying? So, like for example, a woman may start doing things that try to, provoke the man to her that. You know what I mean? Not even aware of it, but that's all she been around. That's all she deals with and all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, sis, you need to deal with some counseling and some consultation with that. Somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I'm someone who's claiming to know what they're talking about. I wrote a whole book on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got a whole course on this stuff actually, dealing with emotional baggage claim in the inner work suite. So I mean, you get to decide whether it's accurate or not. But I'm making the claim here that I know what I'm talking about, and that I know how to deal with those issues, because that's the issues that I also have to deal with too. I'm not exempt from doing any of this stuff. It's just that being able to have studied this stuff and wrote about it and been counseling for about almost 10 years on this stuff, it's like I'm pretty much have a grip on being able to help other people. You know what I'm saying? There's people out here that's dealing with family issues, so it's not even just one person that may have a problem with. It's a group, and it's a group where they share blood with those people. And then again, like I said, because there are issues with the family, then they just go out here and again project onto other people. You know what I'm saying? You're not dealing with the core element or core mechanism that's causing you to act that way. You know what I mean? So with holographic counseling, what I do is that's what we hone in on. Like we deal with that directly instead of meandering and pussyfooting around the situation like as if you was in a psychiatrist or a shrink's office. You know what I'm saying? How far are you gonna get with that? Because now in this conscious community thing, everybody think it's just about information and knowledge. It's like no, it's people they're harboring coping mechanisms that are harmful or detrimental to themselves and everybody else they come across. So regardless of how much knowledge they got or how much they know their African or American history, like that doesn't matter. You still are traumatized by things that you never overcame or dealt with. So that's again, you probably already noticed this is how someone can come across or be on social media acting like they know what they know, still dealing with, like I said, they speak well, what I'm saying? They got the books, but again, they have these coping mechanisms you know nothing about. So once you start being around them and you start, dealing with them and you start seeing those issues come unfold or blossom, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, though they have this book information, you know what I'm saying, they haven't dealt with some issues that they're encased in their mind. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's also, like I've talked about this before too, like dealing with the whole idea of, or the concept of having spiritual sickness, samyari, which is, some you get from the Akan language, spiritual sickness. So it's not even just, how someone think. You got to go a little bit deeper than that, or more depthical, and deal with how their spirit is moving. You know what I'm saying? Since everybody wants to think that they're aficionados or experts in spirituality, well, let's deal with spiritual sickness then. Because you could be harboring spiritual sicknesses that, deal with your family and generations. You know about the whole generational curse stuff. So it's in your spirit. And knowing that what's in your spirit is the reason why anybody or anything is around you at this moment in time. You know what I'm saying? It's all in your spirit. So if you're not dealing with that, I mean, it ain't gonna go away. You know what I'm saying? You can walk here, you can go to the next country over, you can fly out in outer space. The issue is with you. So wherever you go, there it is. Wherever you go, there it is. It's a crazy idea, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Crazy idea. You have free will, or is this all predetermined? Both. I gotta go with both with that in that philosophy. It's both of them. Why? Because you had the free will to pick what you were going to be determined to do. So if you know anything about narratives, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, you chose to come here to live a certain narrative. That means it's going to go in its deterministic flow. It's going to go in its deterministic way. But you had the freedom to choose that determined path. So out of all the paths that you could have chosen, you chose this one, and this is the path that you're on. So it's free will, and then there's the path that you chose. So it's both. So going back to the spiritual thing again, this is all in your spirit. It's already there before it becomes a physical manifestation or a physical phenomenon or physical issue. You know what I'm saying? It was in your spirit first, or we can just deal with mind, whatever words or terms that you want to use. You know what I'm saying? Whatever terms or words, it's all the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Different cultures, different cosmologies, different religions, spiritual systems, they all have these terms that they're different in each of these systems, but they're basically referring to the same things. You know what I mean? So again, samyara, spiritual sickness, again, this is stuff that's going to manifest or is going to come up to draw that out of you as you go out throughout your life. So in my book here, talking about holography, I deal with the issue of you already have these features in you before you even deal with any type of physical situation. So going back to someone being brokenhearted, you already had that in your spirit, in your mind, or in your subconscious. It's already there. So now you have to go into events and situations and scenarios to draw that out. And you don't even know you're doing it because it's something subliminal. It's something that your conscious mind, if you haven't done that work to be aware of this shit, it's going to happen without you even knowing when it's going to happen or, unexpectedly. It seems sudden, but it's like, no, it's in you. If you realize that everything is in you before you even experience it, now you're in a seat of advantage. Now you have bird's eye view. You know what I'm saying? You can see all this stuff before it happened because it starts with you. You're the source of your own experience. Here, I'll read it from my book here. I'll read the page where I'm talking about it. Because it's the idea or understanding that, again, you chose this stuff before you got to it. So a lot of this counseling and consultation that I can provide to anybody is we need to deal with that side of things. You need to come to terms with the ultimate responsibility that you put this in motion before you experience the motion. It was here before you got there. It was in you before you got there. So of course you're going to meet and start dating people that is going to bring that out of you. If you already have brokenheartedness or that theme going on within your spirit, you're going to subliminally start seeking people, or you're going to be sought out by people to bring out that brokenheartedness. So in that case, you cannot blame anybody for what happened if you are the one that, just you, before you even deal, like, dealing with someone else's faults or issues or whatever they did. It was you who decided to be a part of that conversation or part of that situation, that scenario. Why are you in the scenario? Who are you going to blame for the reason that you're in that situation? Because people start to, blame people for things that's really their fault. You know what I mean? No event is written right here in this book. No event precedes your decision to experience it. Let me say it a little slower, so you get every syllable. No event precedes your decision to experience it. So everything you experiencing now, everything you've experienced in what you would call the past, and everything you are to experience, which is called the future, is all your decision. And now you would probably think, well, why would I never made that choice? It's like you're forgetting where you began. Got to go back to the beginning and know why you made that choice. You are not here just based on somebody making you be somewhere. No, you are part of the situation on your own accord. Which leads into the next thing I have here written is nothing happens to you beyond your own configuration. So that goes back to, dealing with mind and spirit or whatever you want to call, your your inner self, whatever you want to call it. It's in there to then be drawn out once you get into the event itself. So again, you subliminally seek out partners that aggravate your anger or bring out your depression. You came here with the depression. You didn't just sit here, someone gave it to you or you just acquired it. No, the blueprint of any part of your life where you were depressed precedes the life itself. You came here depressed. Some people don't want to accept that about themselves because they think that they came as tabula. How you say it? Tabula rusa or tabula? I forgot. It means clean slate. So some people think they come here as a clean slate and then life's events cause them problems or cause them to be who they are. No, you came here like that. You came in here like that. What you mean? She said, I never thought babies were pure. I mean, I don't know how I would say that. I would just say that again, you came here with your own narrative. That's what I want to say. You came here to go a certain course, especially as like you and your human experience. It has to go a certain course that you pre-chose, that was pre-written. So really, wherever event that you were in, that's a scheduled event. It's not a random event. It's not something that's coincidental. It's not something that was by chance. I mean, just deal with the hermetic principle or the alchemical principle of the law of, or the principle of cause and effect. Every effect has its cause. Every cause has its effect. So anybody talking about, oh, that this is a chance thing or this is random, it's like, no, you just don't know the cause of it. So if you're, getting a counsel session for me, or we're, what I'm saying, I'm helping you work out these issues, we have to start with that understanding that you are responsible for all these decisions. You are the sole controller. You are the cause behind everything in your life. You cannot put that responsibility on another person. Just that, like they cannot put their responsibility of that on you. Because again, going back to the whole thing about uh, projection, you trying to project onto me something that you already decided you wanted to experience and be a part of. So maybe I'm just a part of the situation, meaning that we both at some point before this shit even happened agreed that we were going to go through this issue or this problem. So you need to start dealing with it on that level. Now, if you go into a psychiatrist's office, do you think they're going to start you there and then go forward from there? You think they're going? Do you think that the session is going to go like that? Because they treat you like a victim in there, and then you fit into that victim thing as you go in. So already the shrink and you are agreeing that you are a victim when you go in there, and you're treated like one. And I'm saying, nah, you need to be more of the victor in that situation. You need to understand that you are the ultimate cause behind all things in your life, and take responsibility on that level. For those of you that don't know, I'm on Instagram on this side, and I'm on YouTube on this side. So there, in that way, there's really no victims. You know what I'm saying? There's really no victims. Tell me where there's a victim if you were the one who decided to go through this narrative. Tell me where the victims are. Because even in just the explanation of this is all about getting you on that level of ultimate responsibility. That's the level I would want you to be on because that's the level of power. That's the level of executive decision making. That's the level of coming to a resolution with a solution. So are you solution oriented or you want someone to solve your problems? Another thing, a feature that I have at my website, holographer.com, is disciplinarian life coaching. So for those of you that want to get something done, you want somebody to be on you so you can get things done because you may not have that from your family or your friends. But you can have that structured if you would like to. Like, I know there's a lot of people claiming to be life coaches, but how many of them are disciplined? So you got somebody trying to coach you and they're not even disciplined in their own coaching of themselves or you. So how effective do you think their life coaching is going to be for you? I'm coming with the discipline so that we know that we have a structure we can both stick to that's realistic, and then we can have realistic results as we, move through that structure that we created or that we came up with. So that would be what I would call disciplinarian life coaching. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a person, I get up early every day. I do all what I'm supposed to do, everything that I'm disciplined in, and there's never an issue with that. Even things I don't feel like doing, gotta do them. You know what I'm saying? Gotta get them done. Gotta, lay down that discipline, lay it down. And like I said, results come. How you gonna write something like this without the discipline to write it? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people right now, even probably you watching, you probably have a book or some sort of project that, you started, but you ain't never complete. And you should have been completed it. What's the problem? What's the issue? And then you got people that get upset when you do stuff like this, and act like, you're not deserving of whatever rewards or accolades you get for doing stuff like this. It's like, well, you can do it. You can do this shit. but you're choosing not to. It's that non-discipline. I'm telling you, if you was disciplined, this shit would have been done years ago, maybe within a month of you starting the damn thing. You keep putting it off for whatever reason. I can help you get to the point where this can be done, something like this, not just a book, but whatever project you're doing. Doesn't matter. Your music album, you may be a musician. You just be, dilly daddling and not getting things finished. You make the excuse that, oh, I don't have enough time, or I got all these kids. It's like, yo, if you really want to get shit done, or you really want to get things completed, you'll complete them. That's how much trust I have in you. But you be pussyfoot. You be diddly daddling. You know what I mean? Now it could be because, like I said, you probably don't believe in yourself enough. You don't have enough confidence to complete something. You insecurities. Let's being honest. You don't gotta lie about that. But there's help out here, what I'm saying, so you ain't gotta be the victim in that situation. You don't have to. Perhaps you don't, you have some fears about, presenting something that you made in front of all these strangers or front of all these people. That's something that can be dealt with. We can help you overcome that. It's not something you got to live with for the rest of your life. Stage fright or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or like I said, you probably came from a family where they didn't give you the support for what you wanted to do. Perhaps you had a parent or two that, they basically made you feel like a piece of shit, like they just verbal abuse or, saying that you would never amount to anything. Or because of who your mother or who your father is, the other parent was sitting here comparing you to them, and that scarred you for life. When are you going to overcome that? When are you going to deal with that? Because you keep pressing it down and you keep evading the issue doesn't mean it goes anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean it just disappears just because you turn your head that way or you look over here or you try to drink it or sex it. No, it's still going to be there. What you mean? Wherever you go, there it is. So where are you at in the USA right now? You could be in California, Texas, New York, New Jersey, Florida, Chicago, wherever you at. Let's say you made a trip all the way to the other side of the world, somewhere in Russia somewhere. You think that the issue you had in America is going to stop because you went to Russia? I bet when you get to Russia, that same problem is going to pop up because the physical location is of no, it has no, it doesn't matter. It's matter that doesn't matter at that point because you have to deal with the issue. The issue is in you. How you going to run away from something that's in you? Doesn't make sense. Wherever you go, there it is. Now, relationships, again, it's a big thing now here now. Like, people are complaining about modern dating or, what I'm saying, mommy issues, daddy issues, what I'm saying, people ghosting, people gaslighting, people, this whole thing about narcissists. Like now, all of a sudden, everybody's a narcissist. They're just throwing that word at people. It's like, oh, you had a bad relationship with that guy because he was a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Like they're always trying to make it seem like someone's a narcissist, but it's like if something fails between two people, it's not one person's fault. Why would it just be one person's fault? Even if you want to say that one is being offensive and the other one isn't, it's like, but both parties decided to be in that situation. And obviously they didn't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to be able to work out whatever issue they had, and then they had to break apart. It takes two to tango, so that means whatever goes down between the two of y'all is both of y'all's fault. You have to look at it that way instead of blaming this person or blaming. No, you was a part of the situation. So why were you a part of the situation? Couldn't you have evaded it? Couldn't you have gone into another situation? It's people that don't take responsibility for their presence in a certain event or experience. So this is why I'm saying that throughout all the experiences of my life, now, then, and going forward, all me. Who else am I going to blame for what happened? Who else am I going to put that on? It's kind of the reason why humanity creates these, these images or these figures of God so that they can have something to blame things on. It's all mine. So if you're mine, well, how could it be not your fault for, or you know what I'm saying? You got to create this invisible entity for you to, you know what I'm saying, say, oh, that's not my fault. It's a form of projection. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of, being able to understand heightened or higher degree of knowledge where you understand that, you know, some part of you, if not you consciously, is causing these issues. You know what I'm saying? Or the forces behind your existence. Like, are you on that level of self-awareness or self-acknowledgement where you acknowledge the forces of your existence? For example, what is the true force of you existing right now? What is the force keeping you breathing or keeping your blood circulating in your body? What's behind that? Do you consciously make the blood circulating throughout your body? Yeah, you could be dead ass asleep and your blood is still circulating. So, this whole thing of making the subconscious conscious or the subliminal conscious, you know what I'm saying, making the background, bringing the background into the foreground, that's something that could be talked about and discussed, and and a solution can be brought about in counseling and consultation. That's what I do. I'm a counselor and a consultant in this stuff. You know what I mean? You ever seen somebody that's so smart but they just all fucked up? Like their life is in shambles, but they some of the smartest people we ever seen. Yeah, they have book smarts, but when it comes to being able to get their life together or get their life in control, where's that smarts at? Where's their intelligence for that? And these are the people that come into this conscious community, occult thing, this community that we in, and they become your authorities in this stuff. You're giving them money, you're giving them attention, you're dealing with their recommendations. And not to say that everything they do is a problem, but again, this is there you're dealing with people who I would say is unqualified to be even teaching you anything, just based on they have problems that are just as worse as yours. You know what I'm saying? Not to say they can't help you with something, but I'm just saying keep an eye out with these people. These are the people that will scam you in a minute. Or do something where it makes headlines. You know what I mean? It becomes news, and you're like, "Well, I didn't never knew that about that person." Yeah, of course you didn't. You know what I mean? This stuff won't be a surprise to you when you understand the nature and dynamics of this whole humanity thing. It makes perfect sense to me. You got some people that like to, they try to act like they all mysterious and shit, like they can't be figured out. It's like you, just like me, are on cycles. There's things you do every day, every year, every 2 years, every 5 years, every, every, decade. You do the same shit and don't even know that you're doing it. You don't know that you're on a merry-go-round, a cycle. And like I stated in my book here, I can't take you serious as some, teacher or some sort of guru or sage or whatever, and you don't even know your cycles. You be going to go see counselors and psychiatrists or psychotherapists that don't know their cycles. Picture that. They don't even know themselves, but they're trying to help you understand you. Ain't that some shit? There's not even a plan to help you understand your cycles. Psychology. where you know how you do and how much you do and the patterns that you act out. They don't be knowing that shit. But they experts in the field of psychiatry though, and psychology and stuff like that. Ain't that some shit? But y'all be accepting these people as authority because of their degrees and their licenses and you know what I'm saying, whatever else accolades they got. But they don't know their cycles. They don't know their habits. They don't know their coping mechanisms. And who's exempt from this shit? Because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Who's exempt from having these coping mechanisms? You in America. You in a land of colonization and colonialism and, you know, laws that aren't fair to every person here. Like, you know where you at? If you was never traumatized by anything in your childhood, know that your first trauma is you coming through the womb. You were somewhere 9 months and then all of a sudden you out of it. That's a trauma. That's a trauma right there. You go from being in this warm, you know, amniotic sac womb, you know what I'm saying? With the umbilical cord and all that. And then after those 9 months, you come through the womb. You know what I'm saying? That's trauma. It's like being taken, you just snatched from something you were used to for however long and then just placed it in something else. Like if I snatched you, no human trafficking shit. I don't get involved. That's just fucked up. But like it's just if you just picked up and left and went to like China, you have a culture shock. That's trauma because you're going from one environment that you were used to and that you were comfortable with, and now you've been placed in one that you're not. And then put on the fact that you're coming down a birth canal that what I'm saying, it has to stretch and it has to what I'm saying. Um, Yeah, it has to expand for you to come through that birth canal. You know what I mean? Your mom or you could have died in that situation. It happens. You know what I mean? These things happen. That's traumatic. So even if you never went through no, abuse or neglect or abandonment, saying as you were becoming a baby or, your needs weren't met, just that right there coming out of the womb is a trauma. So now you have most people though that that they come out the womb and then they also on top of that experience whatever other issues like abuses, abandonment, rejection, you know what I'm saying, some sort of accident, you know what I mean, a loss of a loved one at an early age. Like these are all traumatic experiences. So you think that you've gotten rid of this shit just because you got a little smarter in the mind as you got older and older and older. It's like, nah, that was the blueprint of a coping mechanism or a behavioral thing that's still with you even when you're on your deathbed at age 70, 80, 90. You haven't dealt with that, pal. You got to deal with that. So that's what I do as a counselor and consultant. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm here to help you with if you would want that type of assistance instead of going to like some therapists that, again, they don't even know their cycles, don't know their patterns, don't know themselves enough to try to teach other people about themselves. What type of frackle knacker shit is that? This is a whole institution, though. This is a whole association. American Psychiatric, whatever they call associate. This is a whole group of professionals and experts and you know what I'm saying, heads of the field. Like this is they realm. Prescribing you drugs that you don't need. You know what I'm saying? All these narcotics that they be giving you, all these Adderalls and whatever, Prozacs, Zolofts and stuff, antidepressants, antipsychotics. They got it set up. So, like I say, I come as with the alternative to be like, no, we don't need any of those substances. You know what I'm saying? Now, it may be herbs where I can recommend or suggest, but not for me to just prescribe to you. It's like, here, take that, and that's it. Nah, you have to deal with the seed of your problem, kernel work. You got to deal with the seed of your issue. And what the issue is for. You know what I'm saying? Because for those of you that may not be aware, it's like sometimes in some instances, well, probably even all instances, if you were traumatized by something, that's a form of initiation. You gotta see it that way though. If you're looking at it from the perspective of a being who came here to be a human, you gotta go back to that perspective. That's why for me, it's like I'm striving in my discipline to make sure that I'm looking at this whole physical experience from the perspective of a being, whatever you want to call that being. Some people call them gods or titans or chaos or whatever you calling that. So star seed, there's so many different names. Whatever that entity is, you need to go back to that perspective of things and see that you chose this human narrative for whatever reason. This is a form of self-acknowledgement. This is self-knowledge in action, not in theory, in action. So when you're armed with that understanding or that awareness of things, what issues can plague you after that? Because now you know from where you're being able to, your perspective is. Now it makes even more sense on what to do to solve your issue that you have, or why you had to go through that traumatic experience in the first place. Makes perfect sense now if you're looking at it from that perspective. So now who can you blame if that's what you chose? If you chose this narrative, who are you to blame here, especially on this physical level? Can't blame anybody. You chose it. Your parent, you can't. What you gonna blame your parents for? You chose to be a part of their success, their genetic legacy, regardless of what they did or didn't do. Regardless of what they did or did not do. You chose the narrative. And you see, that's the difference between victim and victor. Victim is always looking for something to blame. That was my I don't need you, yo. You can shut off. This I or MacBook be catching some of the words and then it'll just be like, can I help you with something? But anyway, if you're the victim, who you gonna blame? Because we can deal with that in the consultation session. I'll challenge you. I'll be like, well, who you gonna blame for your problems? Who's the author of your issues? Who said that you were going to deal with this? And who said that? Who appointed you to that? Who determined that for you? Who? There's people living. I'm not saying anybody that's listening to this network. It could be you. You know what I'm saying? But just in general, you have a population of people out in this world where they operate on, well, because my mom did this to me, or because my dad wasn't there, then I'm gonna. You know what I'm saying? That's their infantile thinking. That's their infantile operation. This is how they work. This is how they operate in the world. This could be you. You. Because such and such did this, you just gonna say, well, I'm gonna do the same thing or do something just as detrimental. That's a victim. That's someone attempting to live the life of a victim. Where you gonna get it? Where you gonna get with that? That's where your projection comes onto play. You know what I'm saying? Because trust me when I tell you, whoever you are blaming for your issues, you're definitely going to keep meeting that person over and over again. Because that person or those line of people are there to keep bringing you back to that issue. You're never going to outrun them. You think you're getting rid of somebody, and then that person comes right back in a different face because that situation is only cycling like that because of the issue that began that. So if your father abandoned you, again, you're going to keep coming across men or people like that that are going to do the same type of stuff to you because it's about self-knowledge. So every time you keep ignoring something about yourself, again, you're going to keep running into people and situations and scenarios that is going to keep bringing that up. So again, if you chose a narrative of, like, for example, abandonment issues, again, that narrative is going to be replete and cycling and patterned with all these people and situations that are going to keep showing you that you're operating on this abandonment issue. Trust me when I tell you. Yeah, that's how it works. That's psychology. That's cycles. We're getting to the root of the loop or the seed of the loop here. Do you do that in your psychiatric office when you're laying on that couch or sitting on that couch? Or are you just going to be prescribed the next expensive, medicine to keep you, numb or whatever? So it's a lot of reasons why a lot of people are addicted to a lot of these opiates now. This prescription pandemic thing going on right now too. You know what I'm saying? Or prescription epidemic, shall I say? You know what I mean? They're abusing the drugs right there in their their bathroom sink mirror. You know what I mean? Some of y'all is wild where y'all sit here and do drugs out of other people's house. Y'all be in other people's medicine cabinet eating their drug or swallowing their drugs. That's crazy. That's a wild life right there. Like I invited you into my home. I made you take your shoes off. You ain't gonna be walking around my carpet with shoes on. I even gave you something to drink, something to eat. You go in my bathroom, open up my medicine cabinet, and eat all my pills. Or if see if I even have pills in there. That's very disrespectful. But people out here doing it, and it's a problem. And it ain't just some street thing now. Because, you can say that about the crack and the, what I'm saying, it's things that you like the methamphetamine, because these are all things that you would probably find on the street. This is an issue where you can be a millionaire and be addicted to these opiates. You could have a prestigious job at the best corporation in the world. You could be the professor of, you know, humanity studies and have all the accolades, Nobel Peace Prize winning writer or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But still be suffering from opioid addiction. They even got a show on Hulu about that with the Michael Keaton guy, like the dude that played Batman. Like it's a show about how this rich, wealthy family created the hydrocodone and the Percocets, and they was doing this a real aggressive sales campaign to get doctors to prescribe this to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure some of y'all know some people that are addicted to these pills. Well, and you know what I'm saying, if you're on my level, you understand that it's not the pills or the addiction, it's something else that they're trying to, you know, evade. You know what I'm saying? Addiction is never the source problem. It's always something that causes them to want to be addicted to something, trying to escape. So if you're trying to escape, what's the thing you're escaping? And that becomes more of the source issue rather than the escapism itself. You know what I mean? And it goes back to the issue of, why would you go to these people for them to just to prescribe you some of this, this head medicine, you know what I'm saying? Like the Zoloft, Percocets, Prozac, Valium, you know what I mean? You really gonna sit here and reduce your issue in life to a chemical imbalance when we're beyond the physical? So you have a metaphysical issue and you think you're going to solve it with a physical pill. That's why a lot of people that go to these people don't ever get work. They don't. There's never a resolution. There's never a problem. It's never solved. The problem solving only it drowns out. There's never a problem solved. But dealing with holographic counseling or any counseling dealing with, how I deal with it, we get to that problem. We deal with that issue. You know what I'm saying? We deal with that problem. Not about to send you back out there just for you to just keep coming back so I can keep getting paid off of you. No, we're going to deal with this kernel work now. You know what I mean? We're going to deal with this kernel work now. Because as a consultant or a counselor, it's my like I'm making it my like business or my goal to make sure that you are in a position to solve your own issue. You're not a baby, you're not a little kid. Even though some of you have those schemas or these coping mechanisms that keep you in that child minority state. Like I say, I got a whole course on this stuff where I talk about the schemas or whatever. You already know this. You know what I mean? And for those of you that's coming in, I'm doing the YouTube live and the Instagram live or whatever. So again, people don't know their patterns. They don't know their coping mechanisms. They don't know their schemas. They have a zero lack of self-knowledge. For a group of people that are so self-centered and conceited and arrogant or narcissistic, and they don't know shit about themselves, that's a contradiction right there. That's an oxymoron. That's a paradox. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of any more big words. I'm gonna stop it right there. But that's what that is. Like, how you gonna be so self-centered and don't know nothing about yourself? I mean, what the hell? What's the point? Because the focus is always on the surface of who they are. It's on the superficialness of who they are. It's the mask, the persona. That's the only thing they focused on. How they look to others, how they appear on the world stage. That's all they worried about. Meanwhile, backstage, you don't know what's happening backstage. You only see what's happening on the stage front. You don't know what's happening in the background. Only those who are worthy of or willing to go that far in their self-understanding know what's in the background. You feel me? So you deal with a counselor or a consultant like me, it's all about getting you to that point so that you can actually be done and come to a resolution. If you're not aiming for a resolution, the problem shall persist as the days go on. You know what I mean? Because and this is like I'm not just speaking just out of me writing books or just reading books or reading things or whatever. I went to a motherfucking psychiatrist before on my own accord because I felt that I need to work out some issues that I've had and I don't really know nowhere else to turn. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't about to go to church and do that or try to deal with a pastor or nothing like that. So it was like, let me deal with a professional that deals with head cases or whatever. And sure enough, there was never really any progress. You know what I mean? I will give him credit as far as like helping me able to see something about, someone on a parental side, but that's as far as it went out of all these sessions we had. Didn't get anywhere far. And I guess it also didn't help because he was white person and he didn't understand these black these things that we go through as black African American Negro, whatever you want to call it. So you know what I'm saying? So he definitely wasn't about to help me solve no real issues. You know what I mean? And luckily it was insurance that was paying him because like imagine you giving somebody some money and y'all not really solving the problem. That's like going to a mechanic with your car or whatever. All you needed to do is get an O2 thing on your engine, and now he's sitting here telling you all this stuff about, oh, you have a problem with this, you got a problem with that, and he never really kind of solves it. You know what I'm saying? That's an issue. So, and this is how I rate people, not to sit here and judge them, but give them a rating. Like, where are they? What are they trying to do with this? With their problem? Do they want to get to the seed of this problem? Do they want to get to the root of this problem, or do they want to stay on the surface with the branches of this problem? I can only help them with the first part. Let's get to the kernel, the root, or the going beyond the root, get to the seed of the issue. If you don't want to do that, I can't be any service to a person like that. It wouldn't work because that reflects on you as a counselor or a consultant if you're not helping people. You know what I'm saying? Like you probably think that I know people that, they sit here and make money off of people coming back for, multiple sessions throughout the year. But you didn't solve this person's problem. So you're getting paid off of each session, but you're not solving anything. So while you're getting that money, yeah, you're getting the money, but your reputation is about to be shot too. Because true enough, if I come to you and you thought you didn't really, you ain't really help me, you was on some bullshit. Best believe when I go to the next person that I think is going to help me, I'm gonna be like, well, this previous person, he was on some, or she was on some bullshit. So now your reputation is fucked. You know what I'm saying? You got that money, but again, your reputation. Now, can you get more clients? You know what I mean? And with people having access to the internet and being able to research things at the drop of a dime, it's like they can look you up now. You can't hide that you ain't really helping people. Can't hide that for long. You feel me? You can't hide that. How long you gonna think you gonna get away with that? But you gotta understand that their system is built that way. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's built. Because if I just prescribe you prescription pills one time, I only get paid once. So I got to keep you coming back so that you or your insurance company keeps buying it. Because that's a continual revenue for me. So it doesn't help me financially to help you out for good. I got to keep you, just doing some bullshit that every time you come into the set. I got to do it like that if I'm gonna keep getting money off of you. You know what I mean? So again, as a metaphysical, or you want to say holographic counselor or consultant, you got to be coming to me ready to deal with the issue from the beginning. Because if I do this right, you shouldn't need me after maybe this however long it takes us to get you on that level. You know what I mean? And so y'all acting like y'all ain't got no problem. Nah, it's people with issues out here. And like I said, in the post I put on my Instagram, where it's like, if you want to entertain yourself for the next few years, start embracing your flaws and your issues, and then watch how everybody around you are denying and rejecting their issues. You know what I'm saying? I'm entertained by that. Because again, this is a group of people. These are people. It can be you. You know what I'm saying? You watching this, where you keep projecting onto others as a way so that you don't cope with your own problem. Why do you think you come across people who, they have the same issue as you? You're going to keep coming across these individuals. So you want to whine about, being brokenhearted, or, these niggas always breaking my heart, or these bitches ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? You know the phrases, the taglines or whatever. But it's like, how you ain't dealing with somebody who's also brokenhearted? You're saying that this other person ain't shit. What if you're on that same wavelength, pal, sis? But something you're refusing to see about yourself, and again, you project it onto the other person. You know what I'm saying? Or, this whole thing of competing on brokenheartedness, like, I'm more brokenhearted than you, so I'm the one that's the victim in the situation. Like, what kind of shit is that? What is that? Tell me what that is. Define it for me. We sitting here competing on who was hurt the most? You was hurt regardless. Why we gotta sit here and compete with each other on who should get better treatment or who should be seen as the victim of the situation? Victims victimize victims. Hurt people hurt people. Duh. Why else did the man or the woman do it? Or, whatever you're accusing them of. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you're blaming them for. Like this expectation you have of people to be, um, perfectly what you need them to be. It's like, nah, that's not how that works. In fact, it works in the exact opposite way. You are going to be coming across imperfected people because that's exactly what you are. They reflect your imperfections back at you. And then on top of that, you project back onto them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a never ending cycle. You even do this to your kids if you have any. Because then your parents do it to you. So the only way you can really break out of that cycle is what? You got to be the one that gets to the seed of the issue, the kernel work. And perhaps you can be the one in this generational line of, um, fucked up individuals, the one to be the one to break the cycle. Curse breaker. You know what I'm saying? Who's about that life? Can't be blaming everybody for your problems. You deal with certain pro-black people and they be like, oh, it's these whites. It's like, I don't blame them for my issue. They're not my problem. You know what I'm saying? They're not my problem. I know you like to, again, you want to look for a perpetrator. You're looking for someone to blame for what's going on with you. Who I'm gonna blame them? Now, this isn't to say if they did something, they did it. But at the same time, we got to go back to the seed and say, well, you want to be spiritual, metaphysical. You chose this human narrative. So why did you choose this human narrative for yourself? Why? So you went through your childhood, your adolescence, your young adulthood. Some of y'all is still in your young adulthood, or you now you're the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or whatever, and you still haven't come to the realization of what you chose this for. You know what I mean? That's how you know people asleep. Like you want to sit here and there's people that claim to be woke or conscious or whatnot, but it's like these are easy ways to find out who's where and where they are. Like for example, you don't know your sole purpose for existing. Well, I'm gonna have to say you're asleep. How you gonna be woke but you're asleep to your existential purpose? Like you don't know why. Like you have amnesia as far as why you came into existence to be. So repeating myself, you came here with the pain. Who causes you pain than the pain you already came with? Again, who causes you pain more than you coming here with the pain? You came here with that, sis, bro. So now the plan of action is to find out why and then deal with whatever lesson you're supposed to get out of claiming that. Or you know what I'm saying, wanting to come here to experience this. You know? Because once this stuff is something you're aware of, now how can you be lost about your direction of course in life? I can't be lost now that I know myself or acknowledge myself on that level. So again, dealing with your issues start with dealing with the reason why they're here. Why won't you deal with that? And I'm still asking you, who are you blaming for it too? Because I know, like, you still probably have some beef with your parents or some family members or even your brother or sister or something like that. And I'm not saying that that's invalid. It's the point of you still kind of decided to be a part of that issue or part of that scenario, part of that event. Why? Why that person? Why that parent? Why that father? Why that mother? Because ever since I started doing this stuff, it started becoming clearer and clearer with more clarity that, oh, that's why I chose them. They had to be my father. That had to be my mother. That had to be my grandparents. This had to be my brother, my sister, my cousin, auntie, whatever. They had to be that for me to be who I had to be or that I was choosing to be. You get it? Everybody in your life has to be who they are in order for you to be who you are or chose to be. So, even saying this also, you are steadily discovering who you chose to be. That's what life is. If you're going to be self centered, you be centered in that. You are steadily discovering who you chose to be. Some people don't want to accept it. Come to terms. Ain't that the first step in all these programs where, saying you're addicted to alcohol or drugs? They say the first step is acknowledging you have the problem. Here, first step is acknowledging you are the source of the problem. Just a little spin, a little twist on that thing you probably already know. Nothing precedes your decision to experience it. Nothing is beyond your own configuration. And so again, like I said, because I want this to be long, Wholography, man. Make sure you get the book. It was published at the end of March. Go to the website here. I have it on the Instagram, holographer.com/the-book. And you can actually download a sample before you actually purchase it. It's the first chapter. You read through it. You know what I'm saying? You can see what you like and learn. You want to go further, get your autographed copy. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. Stop going to these people out here in the shrink land or psychiatrists or psychotherapists that really ain't helping you. And that's all I got to say.